got some good news for you. Hey, man, now listen. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he say might even make your day. It might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house.
Oh, yeah, the doctor is in the house. Welcome, everyone, to Dr. Ron. Unfiltered, uncensored. This podcast will delve a little bit deeper into the world of your health and your wellness. We'll explore about feeling good and not feeling tired and why, you wake up and you may be losing some hair or trouble losing weight. And we'll continue to tie this all in to inflammation, aging, and your mitochondria. Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Ron with our 492nd episode. And we've been talking about anti-aging. We've been talking about the skin as the largest organ of the body. Be careful what you put on your skin. We've been talking about toxins, because the medicine of the future is here today, and it will take into consideration your whole body. It won't be segregated into a dermatologist, a pulmonologist, a rhenologist, etc. You get the idea. We'll take account of the whole system and how everything works in unison like a symphony orchestra. And we'll take into account what heavy metals do to your body, why it's important to have good nutrition, good hydration, and hydration with structured water, how your hormones need to be balanced, how you can fight infections by keeping your mitochondria healthy. And we'll get into, in future episodes, the new technologies that enable the detection of frequencies in the human energy field and how we can deliver those frequencies to your body, especially the ones that are missing. And once the needed frequencies are present, imbalances are addressed, and healing from the inside out becomes a reality. Healing from the inside out. And this is why it's important to be the CEO of your own body and to act as Hippocrates said, quote, "If you are not your own doctor, you are a fool." You know yourself best. You know what you need to heal. And there are therapies there to help you heal from the inside out. As we talked about methylene blue, we did not talk about red light therapy yet, but that's out there. Pregnenolone, progesterone, as I said, we have to balance our hormones. And your thyroid gland. These therapies are available, and they are right here in front of us. So we have to go out and we have to use the information we gain from podcasts like Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored. And it's important, you want to wake up full of vigor. But if you're waking up and you're already tired, and as you shower, you notice more hair in the shower and in the tub, and despite a healthy diet and exercise, the numbers on your scale keep rising, unlike the stock market. Do we just take this for granted that we're aging? So I want to put in your head that these could be a symptom of thyroid disease. And thyroid disease can be reversed. So weight gain, hair loss, and fatigue have in common your thyroid gland. So you want to wake up in the morning feeling great. You don't want to wake up in the morning feeling exhausted with dry skin, brain fog, and mood swings. Because it could be your thyroid. Your cardiac output could be reduced and lead to other diseases. So we don't want to ignore our thyroid symptoms. Our thyroid gland produces hormones. We hit on this a little bit last week when we talked about the mitochondria and how the thyroid and the mitochondria are related. They're closely related. The thyroid hormones regulate mitochondrial function. And the primary hormones of the thyroid are the T3 and the T4. And they react with receptors in our mitochondria, which are in the trillions. And they occur throughout our whole body. And these thyroid hormones help the mitochondria produce ATP, the energy molecule. And remember, simply put, the mitochondria has two directions it can go: produce energy or help your immune system. We talked about that. So just briefly, if you have the flu, well, the mitochondria will take that lower route and pump up your immune system so you can get rid of that flu process. But in the meantime, if you have a cold or a flu, you're a little bit tired and you're fatigued because that immune system is taking over a lot of energy from the mitochondria. Now, so the thyroids help the mitochondria, but the mitochondria are also involved in thyroid hormone metabolism. The conversion of T4, which some people call it prohormone because it's not active, but that conversion from T4 to the active T3 depends on enzymes located in the mitochondria. Mitochondria also clear out the products of thyroid metabolism and get them out of your body. So mitochondrial dysfunction can impair your thyroid hormone activity. When the mitochondria are damaged or not functioning properly, they may not be able to adequately convert that T4 to T3, which is critical, and can lead to a state of low thyroid function, even if your thyroid levels are normal. So it's a two-way street. Thyroid disorders may impact mitochondrial function, and mitochondrial dysfunction can interfere with thyroid metabolism. I must say that both hypo and hyperthyroidism have been linked to suboptimal mitochondrial function, which means energy production. So if we restore our thyroid to normal, we often improve our mitochondria. And many people with mitochondrial diseases have thyroid abnormalities, and conditions that damage the mitochondria commonly cause thyroid dysfunction. They're interrelated and interact in many ways. And you see, one affects the other. So we talked a lot in the past couple of weeks on mitochondria. And we talked about toxins. We talked about the toxins you can inhale, the toxins you can put on your skin in the form of beauty products and laundry detergents and cleaning products, and the electromagnetic fields, which are inflammatory, and they are considered, in my opinion, an inflammatory toxin. Why? Because persistent exposure to these frequencies can cause what? Mitochondrial dysfunction. They can even damage your DNA. So if we're exposed a lot to cell phones and Wi-Fi networks, and it would, if you really want to see what Wi-Fi is around you, go to the uh, network setting on your cell phone and see how many Wi-Fi networks are bombarding you at all times. It's 24/7. But this bombardment has been linked to chronic diseases, even cardiac arrhythmias. How many of your friends are maybe needing a pacemaker or being evaluated for a pacemaker? So, cell phones, cell phone towers, Wi-Fi routers, modems, baby monitors, smart devices of all kinds, and smart appliances. They continually emit electromagnetic frequency radiation and at levels that damage our mitochondria. And this is so important because it's increased a quintillion times over the last 100 years. And you know what? Even though you're experiencing the biological and physical effects, most people, most physicians have no appreciation of the damage until it's too late. And even then, it's difficult for most physicians to link the exposure to these radiations to the symptoms or the disease. Again, you have to be knowledgeable. You have to take care of yourself. You have to read, listen to programs like this, because there are thousands of health books out there. Very few of them know really what it means to be healthy. But a common theme of a lot of books is that disease is caused by a deficiency of energy. We all know when you're not feeling right and you're feeling tired and foggy, there's something wrong. And it's not always because you're depressed. It's just that we're not thinking in terms of frequencies, vibrations, and energies. So we have to think of mitochondrial dysfunction and thyroid dysfunction because they are interrelated. And the lab tests are not always correct. Dr. Broda Barnes in the early 40s start using basal temperature. Basal temperature. An underarm reading with a thermometer before you get out of bed. If it's 97.8 degrees or lower, you should be evaluated for an underactive thyroid. If it's around 98.6 degrees, you're more than likely do not have a thyroid condition. But how easy is that for you to do? Take your temperature in the morning under your arm. 97.6 or lower, for all practical purposes, you have an underactive thyroid and therefore under efficiently acting mitochondria. So, as we've been talking about, we want to not only add years to our lives, we want to add life in those years. We want to be young at our older ages. And a lot of it depends on what kind of information you are getting. And, if you're getting the same old tired device over and over again, well, you're not eating right, you're not getting enough exercise. Well, I shouldn't put that exercise because most people do not get enough exercise. But if they're trying to push a pill for not feeling right and they're not getting to the root cause of it, which could be mitochondrial dysfunction, you have to push and find a physician or a healthcare provider that will do that. And if you do not support your mitochondrial health, you will have inflammation. And inflammation is the root cause of aging and of most chronic diseases. And it can be treated with lifestyle medications like exercise, like a nutrient rich diet, getting rid of the ultra processed foods, like managing your stress and taking some targeted supplements. So this understanding how there is a link between inflammation and mitochondrial function will empower you to maintain your health and prevent chronic diseases. And there's a gut-brain connection in this mitochondria story. Gut-brain connection. In fact, I just read an article out of Japan where the Japanese have a history of having longevity, and it's because their microbiome is very diversified. So, what have I said since the beginning of the Chinese virus? A superior interior is necessary. That's why I have recommended, without getting any remuneration from Megaspore, but the Megaspore biotic, because it's a spore biotic. It withstands the acids and enzymes of the stomach and gets to your intestines where it has its effect. Okay, so your thyroid gland is really important. Okay, you should get an idea of how that's working by taking your underarm temperature in the morning for 3-4 days. See, make sure it's higher than 97.6. And we'll delve into this with Dr. Jerry Smith next week, who has treated many patients who have come to him with normal thyroid tests, but on being treated with frequencies and different products because their temperature was low, he's cured them. But the other thing we have to mention today, again, I'm sorry to say, is toxins. The ones we are exposed to every day, the 60-some thousand chemicals that we're exposed to. Inflammation is the root cause of most diseases, right? So I've talked to you about blue light. Blue light. It's a high energy, short wavelength light. Yes, you do get it from the sun, but the one I'm talking about is from the electronic devices, your smartphones, your tablets, your computer screens, your indoor lighting, because it has an effect on your eye health and your sleep patterns. And remember, getting a good night's restorative sleep is important to your health and anti-aging. Prolonged exposure to blue light, especially from the digital screens, is damaging to your vision. Now, is it cut and dry? No, they're still studying it. But if you can eliminate it, why not? This blue light has been associated with eye strain, eye fatigue, dry eyes, and discomfort in your eyes. And this blue light exposure, especially in the evening, can disturb your sleep wake cycle because it decreases the production of melatonin, a hormone that not only regulates sleep, it has lots of other functions, but we need it to get a restful night's sleep. So there are blue light filters out there. There is software you can install on your devices. You can limit the time you spend before your screens. And something not many people consider are printers, right? They don't emit a lot of blue light. They do, if they're wireless, do emit electromagnetic fields. However, prolonged exposure to the emissions from laser printers may release fine particles and volatile organic compounds in the air, which can potentially have negative effects because you'll be breathing them in, especially if it's near your work area. So, a little tip for today would be to ensure you have proper ventilation where the printer is located. Consider using printers that have been tested for low emission levels and have an environmentally friendly certification, and regularly clean and maintain the printer according to the manufacturer's instructions. That way you'll minimize the release of particle and volatile organic compounds. Okay, just to come back to a common subject on anti-aging and chronic diseases is inflammation. I just found another study that tags inflammation as leading to more than 50% of all deaths. It is tagged in some studies as the silent killer, like EMF. You don't know it's there, especially if it's chronic. Now, acute inflammation has a purpose, but chronic inflammation wears your body out. Where's your mitochondria out so they cannot produce ATP? So there are thousands of different ways you can experience the result of chronic inflammation: pain, depression, fatigue, brain fog, skin issues, digestive issues. So again, we want to get to the cause of that inflammation. Is it periodontal disease? Is it a infection in your intestines, small intestine overgrowth? Is it something that can be controlled? So toxins also influence our thyroid, especially bromine and fluorine, the fluoride in our water. They not only decrease our thyroid function, they contribute to chronic inflammation. And other metals such as lead, mercury, and arsenic over time accumulate in our bodies. And where do you get them? From contaminated food and water and from our environment. They activate pathways that cause inflammation and lead to the onset of these chronic diseases. Of course, we get back to inflammation causing mitochondrial damage. These powerhouses, I'm telling you that you're going to hear more and more about mitochondrial diseases because they generate energy. And what do most people that are elderly complain of is lack of energy and fatigue. And as I said last week, mitochondrial dysfunction has been implicated in numerous diseases, including neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So I will continue to bring this type of information on Dr. Ron, unfiltered, uncensored. Next week, we'll talk about thyroid and how your diet will affect your thyroid and therefore affect mitochondria. And we'll talk about gluten, a notorious culprit in thyroid dysfunction. Gluten And about soy. Soy is not the healthful, wholesome health food that was easy for me to say, wasn't it? Healthful, wholesome health food that you think it is. There are studies telling us about the danger of soy in our foods. Bromine. Talked about bromine as an endocrine disruptor, and thyroid is an endocrine gland. And where do you find bromine? In fire retardants. You know, when you buy that new sofa, that bromine displaces iodine, and iodine is critical for thyroid function. And decrease in iodine not only is bad for your thyroid, but it's been implicated in cancers of the breast, ovary, and prostate. It has even been given a name, the bromide dominance theory. And we've talked about how bromine can cause nausea and vomiting, and it can be found in a lot of other places. It could be found in pesticides, plastics, some flour products used in baking, some citrus flavors used in soft drinks. Some people use bromine in place of chlorine in their swimming pool. And as I said, it's in fire retardants. So if we want our best thyroid to function, well, we have to limit or forget about or just strongly get away from bromine. And stress comes up in every disease I've talked about, doesn't it? It's probably the worst thyroid offender. If everything else is if your iodine level is good and your mitochondria level is good, well, stress will knock that all down. Intimately affecting your adrenal glands, which will affect your thyroid glands. And some of us put ourselves under undue stress. Then we get release of those stress hormones and cortisol levels. And our thyroid hormone levels will then drop. We'll be in that fight or flight response, that sympathetic tone, not the parasympathetic healing function of our nervous system. You want to know why you have high blood pressure and high LDL cholesterol and your glucose metabolism is not optimal? Stress putting us into that fight or flight pattern. So we'll have to talk next week. I'm not going to do it today, but I have it in my notes to talk about how we should increase our iodine levels naturally. Because that's what we want to do, right? We want to try and do things naturally and holistically. But to do that, we have to identify the underlying cause. So sometimes all it will take is getting rid of environmental toxins, which cause inflammation. Changing our diet, minimizing our stress levels. Get rid of bromine, get good sleep and exercise. Gosh, I guess I could say that about a lot of other diseases, couldn't I? But decreasing inflammation may be the cure for everything. Our creaky joints, our aging, our dementia, our cancers. Low-grade chronic inflammation. Well, mitochondria, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here, and you'll continue to hear it from other podcasters, and you'll hear it probably from Dr. Mercola and other more well-known doctors than Dr. Ron. So for this next week, let's get outside more frequently. Stop feeding our skin organ toxic chemicals. Reduce our intake of processed foods. Eat organic as much as possible. Get rid of and clean up our household and laundry products. Reduce our EMF. Turn those routers off at night. Do not sleep with your cell phone in your bedroom. If you have a laser printer, get it away from your desk. Watch for and control your blue light exposure at night. And then we'll be on our way to a happier, healthier us. So thank you for tuning in. This is Dr. Ron on Podbean. The name of our podcast is Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored. As I said, we have at least 492, and I think we lost some when we switched over to Podbean. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, LinkedIn. I mean, just about all podcasts except Pandora. And I do have an attitude of gratitude in welcoming you to listening to this podcast. It's always a pleasure to be here and to try and bring you some information that you can use to stay healthier. And we'll continue to do it as long as we have listeners. Okay, thank you again, and we'll have Freddie take us home. Have a great day.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for today. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. And let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. And let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. So if you have a pain, call the doctor. If you have a strain, call the doctor. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. See you next week.